Kicking this video off with the most common mistake you make in Fortnite, and that's playing too aggressive. What I've personally noticed when you look at top tier pros like Mr. Savage, Benji Fishy, Mongrel, Bugger, they play more passive than they've ever played in any other season, despite this season being an absolute spray meta. Why do they do that? Because if you put yourself in the shoes of an aggressive player, the first thing you do is pull out your SMG or your MK7 and start spraying the wall, and you'll repeatedly do this over and over again until the wall is broken and you get their wall, and then you hop in their box, and all of a sudden, because you sprayed in, you have no SMG ammo, so you have to use one of the most terrible shotguns in Fortnite history to try and fight a guy who's in his box, has full piece control except the wall that you came in from, and has a full SMG, has a shotgun, and is probably 100. So why not play passive and let the aggressive player be aggressive and spray on the wall, but instead of holding the wall, purposely let him take it. Make him feel confident by letting him take a wall, and when he takes it, he has no SMG ammo, so when he does hop in your box, he'll hit you with a shotgun, swap to his SMG, won't be able to shoot you, then he'll pull out his build menu because he's panicking. He can't build because all the walls are yours. And if you look at it from the perspective of the pro player, all he has to do is shoot you with a shotgun or just hold the trigger on his SMG and it's a GG. Mistake number 2 is something every player is making. We're not going to dwindle on it for too long because it's super simple to fix. I'm just going to explain why you might want to fix this. You've probably noticed when you reboot a teammate in Fortnite Chapter 3 that they spawn in the sky. On top of that, you might have noticed that the reboot van is the loudest reboot van you've ever heard, and you can hear this thing from 2 or 3 POIs away. On top of that, if you play with visualized sound, you can actually see an icon for up to 450 meters away. Now that's pretty far, you know, so a lot of people are going to see that because a lot of people play with visualized sounds. So when they hear that or see that, they're all going to start coming for you. So the first thing you want to do is get out of there as fast as you possibly can before it's like a 3rd, 4th, 5th party fight and you want nothing to do with it. And to help you get out of that scenario a lot faster, you want to not drop loot at the reboot van. Because your teammate spawns in the sky, he can actually just land on you when you're a few meters away from the reboot van. That way you're kind of out of the crime scene area. When everybody comes in looking at the reboot van for where you are, you're nowhere to be, seen. But if you drop loot there, what's going to happen is you're going to leave the whole place. Your teammate's going to land on the reboot van, take half of your loot, get shot and die. You've lost half your loot, you've lost a teammate, and half the lobby's trying to hunt you down like it's John Wick Chapter 4. So you don't know what to do. Third mistake in this video comes with a double benefit. Once you understand how to fix the problem, you won't make it, but you'll also understand that when you see a player making this mistake, you can capitalize on it, and it's to do with splitting from your teammate. You always want to be close to your teammate in Fortnite Chapter 3, and it's super hard to do that because of the sliding mechanic and all of the uneven terrain we have with this new map. You're going to notice that when you slide down a mountain, you'll pick up speed, and if your teammate forgets to slide the mountain, or maybe he's farming materials, he'll fall behind super fast, and there's all of a sudden this huge gap between you and your teammate. And here's why that's bad, because if a duo comes up over a hill and you're at the bottom of a hill split from your teammate, you might not see that team on top. First of all, now they have high ground. Second of all, they think it's a solo because your teammate's so far away, so it's a 2v1. They're just going to jump on you and kill you as quickly as possible, and then your teammate comes trying to help and you're already dead, so then it's another 2v1, and it's really easy for top tier people and players to notice that and eliminate you very quickly because of that one mistake. So if you stop making that mistake and actually keep a lookout for that, when you notice a guy who's split from his teammate, you should always assume there's 2. Even if you see one guy and you think he's a solo, assume there's 2 and proceed to eliminate him as fast as possible, so if his teammate does follow up, you make the next fight super simple. The 4th mistake of this video is opposite to our first mistake, and that's playing too passive. If you sit in a box and hold a wall while somebody's spraying in, eventually he will get bored, he will get annoyed, he will become impatient, and he will try exploit. He will try do weird piece control things that you do not know how to counter. And if you're not as great mechanically, or you don't have great aim, and you really just don't want to fight, you just want to get your placement points, and you want to avoid this guy because you know he's better than you, you need to actually put on a false persona and appear that you're cracked out of your mind. You need to actually play aggressive on him, but don't over-aggress, just kind of put pressure on him. If you hit him for like 60 or 70 damage with a shotgun and pull out an SMG and put on some fake pressure, maybe just spray his wall as if you were going to go into his box, knowing in your own mind that you don't want to take that fight, you just want him to be scared. You need to kind of flip the role. If you're scared, he will feel the scaredness off you. He will actually feel that when fighting you. He'll be like, this guy's terrible, he doesn't want to fight, and he will feel that radiating off the way you're playing. And vice versa, when you start spraying him, all of a sudden he will become scared, and then you don't even have to fight him if you don't want to. You just need to apply enough pressure to scare him. When he becomes scared and then you can leave that fight, 9 times out of 10 he'll be like, oh my god, thank you for leaving me alone. I thought that was an easy fight, but turns out it's not even worth fighting. And that's what 9 out of 10 players will think. But you're going to have those brain dead players that will be on 12 HP and you walk away letting him live just so you can go and rotate, and he'll start shooting you in the back still on 12 HP. I don't even know what you can do about those players. All you can do about those players is really just comment down below and tell me the worst run-in you've had with those players, the worst scenario, because I've had a lot of them in Chapter 3. And they're not pleasant, but I would like to hear the scenarios that you've gone through. There's some insane, stupid things that have happened in Chapter 3. So the 5th mistake of this video is by far the hardest mistake to fix, and that's not aiming for the head. Whether it be box fights, whether it be long range, not aiming for the head is probably the sole reason you die, especially at long range fights. When you have the MK7 assault rifle that has super easy, controllable recoil, whether you play controller or keyboard and mouse, it doesn't matter. That gun is super easy to control. On top of that, you have no bloom with the MK7 assault rifle, and if you think about it, the SMG has very small bloom, the shotgun has a very small crosshair, and it's very important that you hit headshots, because the guns actually aren't that bad, especially the shotgun, when you start hitting consistent headshots. And to do that, you need to program yourself, aim for the head, aim for the head. If I miss, it's okay, but aim for the head. When you see some clips of me that I'll have playing in the background of me just hitting people in the head, it really changes a fight. Because if you hit, let's say with the green MK7, which does 21 damage at medium range, it has a bit of drop off. So when you hit 321s, that adds up to be 43. You're doing 43 damage. But if you hit a headshot, and that's doing 33 to 35, depending on the range, 33 plus 33 plus 33 comes up at 99. So you're leaving this guy on 101 HP. He's 1 HP off a crack instead of doing 46 damage. You're still hitting 3 shots. The only difference is 3 of them hit the head. And if you think that's hard to do, again, I'll have some clips in the background of me absolutely burning players using this weapon. It's so easy to hit headshots. All you need to do is be consistent and practice your aim, and never swap your sensitivity unless you really have to. Mistake number 6 is that you are not carrying the right loadout for your playstyle. A lot of pro players like using the auto shotgun. A lot of pro players also like using the striker shotgun. But every pro player is using the SMG. So make sure you use the SMG. But other than that, use the weapons that you enjoy using the most. Why? Because the weapons that you enjoy using the most are going to be the weapons that you perform best with. My logic behind this reasoning is that in school, most of you guys are in school or finished school, but there was always that one subject that you hate. And if you really think about it, you hated that subject not because you were bad at it, but you just hated it, and that's what made you bad with it. So if you're using weapons that you hate or you can't use, you're going to be bad with them. Versus a subject that you enjoy, that you love. For me, that's maths. I love maths and business. I love all that number shit. But when you are actually enjoying them, you tend to be good at them. So always remember that. That's just a rule for life. But let's get on to this next tip. So mistake 7 is all about rotations. Some people are rotating way too early. Some people are rotating way too late. And how do you judge that distance? How do you know when it's good to rotate early? How do you know when it's good to rotate late? And it's not really something that you can just answer straightforward. It all depends on how many people are alive, the zone, the materials you have. Are you going to use a vehicle, the Spider-Man gloves? Are you going to swim it? Do you have peppers? There's so many different variables that you have to include on whether you want to rotate early or late. So what I'm going to say is a general rule of thumb is to leave 30 seconds before zone starts moving. That's what I'm going to give to you. Obviously, if you're super far away from zone, you might need a bit more time. But in general, if you're in a fight or you think you might not have time to finish that fight, use the 30 seconds rule. Can you finish a fight in 30 seconds? Probably not, unless you're halfway through it. But always just use that rule. That's, I guess, the best piece of advice I can give you. Mistake 8 is not having the right drop spot for your playstyle. Let me just explain this a bit. Some drop spots are great for loot. You can land there, loot up, and then just fry out. Some drop spots are great for kills, but it's all about your playstyle. If you like getting kills off spawn, obviously land somewhere more aggressive. If you like playing that way, play to the way you like playing. It's very simple, but overlooked. Some people will land somewhere because, oh, Mr. Savage lands there, it's probably good. No, he's landing there because he knows the workaround. He knows that that's going to fit with his playstyle. First of all, do you even understand your playstyle? Do you have a virtual image of the way you should be playing? Like literally imagining how you want to play will actually make you play like that. Think about that for a minute, because that's some deep stuff, and it's all about, you know, manifestation and actually thinking it and then becoming it and then being it and then evolving from that. It's a big long road that you can go down to get better that way, and it all links into your drop spot. So definitely be landing somewhere that merges well with the way you play. For me, my drop spot is super consistent. 1 out of 11 games I die off spawn. 1 out of 11. That's less than 10% of my games I die off spawn. I get out of spawn 100%, but then I just die off in mid game. But that's not the point. Pick somewhere where you play the best and you're the most consistent. Mistake 9 is about editing too fast. And yes, you heard me correctly, editing too fast. It's actually bad to edit at a certain speed, because you're not able to predict or adjust your crosshair to what's beyond that edit. For example, if you pull a very fast Dorito edit, you have to be sure that you can slow your mouse down, or if it's a controller stick, slow it down to the point where you can snap back to your opponent. Because a lot of people are inconsistent. They can be great editors and they can do edit courses on people, and then when it gets to hitting them with the actual most important part, which is doing the damage, because that's what actually kills the player, you scuff your shots and you can't hit them. So think about it. Maybe lower your sense, or maybe just be more conscious of doing a fast edit, pausing for a few seconds, composing yourself, and then hitting them with a heavy damage shot. Super simple thing to fix. Mistake 10 is the most important mistake of this video, so make sure you listen carefully. And it's all about not playing confident enough. And confidence is the thing that stops a very good player from becoming a pro player and getting earnings and getting PR and getting signed. And if that's something that you really want to do, it's all about confidence. You should forget about mechanics. You should forget about aim. You should master confidence, because when you actually develop high levels of confidence, all of that will come naturally. Why? Because you're going to develop an ego. And ego is one of those things that has two sides to it. It's going to be great when you're in the scenario and you're playing very, very good. But when you start raging, and if you have a very high ego, it's going to be negative towards you. But I would say if you develop an ego and learn how to control that ego, and I'm going into some real deep stuff here, but if you can do that, that's what it really takes to become a pro player. To be disciplined, to practice every day, to spend 3 or 4 hours by yourself, in silence, listening to music, in creative, grinding. That's the hard part of being a pro. And it's all about confidence. You need to be confident that, yes, I'm going to play this for 5 hours and it's going to make me better. A lot of people will play creative and they're wondering why they're not getting better. But playing creative isn't enough. You have to be playing creative with a disciplined mind, with a motivated mind. And that's the real power of practice. Practicing and thinking about what you're becoming while you're becoming it. That's how I'm going to end this video. I'll see you in another one. Have a great day.